So basically, what I found out with dealing with systems for so long is that when it comes to push and shove, we can stand up for a KBR. Who's KBR? KBR is the system that's ripping off the government and now has moved out of the United States to avoid prosecutions. KBR is the one that is basically Halliburton and is a subsidiary of. And I mean, this is the place that gets the government finds them and then gives them more money on the other hand. And I was looking over prosecutions about a year ago and investigations into Halliburton. Multiple, over 40 investigations that I saw at the government level. Of course, it's not compressed into one investigation, but they continue to get away with their BS, breaking the law. Now I would like to talk about freedom of speech in New Hampshire. And what happens when you become the government's, let me see, if they were shooting an arrow, I guess you'd become the government's target, quelling freedom of speech in America. And we know what the First Amendment says. We know what it says. We know what the 14th Amendment says about equal rights. And yet, in Lebanon and New Hampshire, what will happen? January, February, March, April, May, June, 6 months later, you'll still be dealing with rinky-dink prosecutors who can't even read a law and apply it appropriately. And the judge will sit there and deny your First Amendment rights. My position, carrying a John Edwards sign on a sidewalk at an Obama rally. But no, that's not allowed. So we have the right to burn a flag in our country. The right, guaranteed by the Supreme Court. But don't you dare carry an Edwards sign in Lebanon, New Hampshire, because I'll tell you what happens. First, they won't be able to read the law. So second, when they make an offer, the offer will be terrible. The judge won't review it. So usually in most court systems, when an offer is made, the offer is also offered through the judge. Not just through your lawyer, but also through the judge. And the judge will say, well, blah, 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 and they'll try to diminish your case. Well, this case should never even see the light of day. People that are wearing shirts that say Bush sucks. And they are allowed. They win cases through the NHCAU and the ACLU. Well, the NHCLU in this country, in this state rather, is impotent. They're impotent. Terrible. Terrible, 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 terrible. And the second thing they do is, the New Hampshire Constitution says you have a right to a lawyer paid for by the state. Well, courts get involved in that. You better pay your lawyer or else you're going to jail. What's this, the tale of two cities? We're back in France again? It's a freedom of speech case, and yet something as simple as the NHCLU can't figure it out. The lawyers can't figure it out. Then they drop it, and then one of the charges is dropped. Disorderly conduct, because in New Hampshire it means it has to be a national emergency. So that was one argument. Good argument. Now we're left with resisting arrest. Two tugs. Yet, the New Hampshire State Constitution says we have a right to rebellion. Now you tell me how that rebellion, I'm not stating that I want rebellion. You tell me how that rebellion is going to take place when you're not allowed to resist the authority of the police when they are wrong. So that continues on. That's under appeal. And yet I still haven't heard the words First Amendment, 14th Amendment rights. No one. You want to know why things don't change in our country? Because no one stands up when they see a wrong. They're afraid. You get some schmuck like me who'll stand up and fight the system, but needs the tools and the lawyers to do so. So I've written all the big shot lawyers. I've written the NHCLU and the ACLU, and you know what? They're whittling away your rights. They're taking a little carving knife and going whittle, 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 whittle. Chip, 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 chip. They're creating a totally different sculpture, creating things like the Patriot Act. All those things are wrong in our country. We need to take action. When the Lebanon Police Department SIGs 3 or 4 policemen on someone because they're carrying a John Edwards sign, who they say was not violent in nature, was not threatening in nature, something's wrong. And when the prosecutor isn't called on the carpet for bringing these charges under malicious prosecution, something's wrong. So that free speech right, don't forget about it. You're going to need a lawyer. You're going to need a lawyer. You're going to need a judge that actually listens and wants to uphold the highest law in our land. Yet, they think that their state laws trump the Constitution. And we know for a fact that that's legal fiction. But legal fiction will survive in our country as long as we have George Bush in office. He's corrupted our system. He's corrupted our courts. Once they've taken that away, what's the next step? So, maybe some goofball from the NACLU will actually want to take action on something like this. I doubt it. 6 months. Where have they been? Had to file another paper so they could say no or not get in contact with somebody? I would like an investigation by the Attorney General to see where the money's going. They always say they're short funded. Yet when I asked, and when I first came here, I asked to work for them, volunteer for them. And yet they didn't want any volunteers. It's kind of suspicious. Where's that money going, NACLU? Fighting that case in Claremont? Tax case, huh? Oh, I see. But real freedom of speech cases, simple freedom of speech cases, ignored. Thanks. Thanks, New Hampshire, for the grumpy greeting that you gave me. Thanks for your mistreatment. You know, when we ask our Democrats to do something about it, they're sitting on their butts too. So when you ask what can be done, don't look to government to do it for you. It's the biggest mistake ever. Government wants to take away your rights. Government wants to sell you down the river. I really believe that. They're not interested in you at all. Do it for yourself. Do it the best you can. And you don't always struggle for more. Maybe just surviving is good enough. So that's my happy message for the day from grumpy old Enfield, New Hampshire. Thank you.